There's people that can naturally and organically connect in conversation, right? They can talk to just about anybody. And then there's another group of people that's the total opposite, right? Having a conversation or holding down a conversation is a burden, it's a chore, it's an obstacle that they have to overcome, either because they're shy or they're embarrassed or they just don't have the skill set to hold a conversation, right? I was one of those people, right? And I know it sounds weird, like, how can you not have a conversation? Like, what's so hard about that, right? But that's the thing, right? Having anxiety or getting embarrassed or feeling shy around people and having a conversation with them can be a burden, right? Because you don't know, like, what are you supposed to say, right? How do you know what you're supposed to say? And knowing what to say comes from knowing when to listen. This is something that a lot of people don't understand. Knowing what to say comes from knowing when to listen, right? You can't contribute to a conversation when you're attached to the words, when you're thinking about, oh, when it's my turn to speak, what am I going to say, right? They're so focused on what they need or feel that they want to say that they forget to pay attention to the person who's actually speaking, right? And they develop anxiety, they develop feelings of inadequacy, right? You're self sabotaging yourself when you're thinking about, oh, what am I going to say, right? It's almost like you're in a mental straitjacket, right? It it kind of hacks your attention when you're preoccupied into thinking, what am I going to do when it's my turn to speak, right? As opposed to giving the person your undivided attention and actually listening to them, right? Words are coordinates. Words are coordinates. Don't get attached to the words. The words are like a GPS, right? They're meant to take you to a place. It could be a good place or a bad place. But that's all words are. Words are an exchange of emotion, right? You're exchanging emotions, you're exchanging coordinates to take the person to a specific place that's going to make them feel XYZ, depending on the context of the conversation, right? Words are meant to take you on a ride, but don't take the words as a form of attachment, right? It's just an exchange. You listening to the other person is going to springboard you into saying what you need to say, but you need to listen to the person, right? And a lot of people, they don't realize they're supposed to be paying attention. I'll give you a prime example. I was at a bar with some friends. It was a group of us, and in walks in this girl that I hadn't seen in years, right? She had moved to Texas, and apparently she moved back to California. So when I saw her, I wasn't expecting her. I was like, what is she doing here, right? I thought she was in Texas. So I walk up to her, hey, how you been? What happened to Texas? What are you doing here? Well, blah, 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 right? Mind you, I'm with a group of friends. She's with a group of friends. And we end up putting our tables together to, have a conversation overall. And there's people on both ends that don't know each other, right? We're mutual friends, but a lot of my friends, a lot of her friends don't know each other. So I noticed that one of my friends was clearly interested in her, right? I didn't know she was going to be there, right? I wasn't playing Cupid. I wasn't setting him up, anything like that. But I can tell my friend is interested in her. And okay, to each their own, right? So we're in the table, we're having drinks, and he's having a conversation with her. And he says to her, have you ever been to this bar before? And she says, actually, I haven't, right? I've been living in Texas for the last couple years, right? And I just moved back to LA, but I haven't been to this bar before. And then my friend says, oh, you're going to love this bar. It's great. And that's it. Then it was like an awkward silence after that. Right? Totally missed the mark, right? He wasn't listening to what she was saying. She told him, I just moved from Texas back to LA. Okay? That is a huge icebreaker, right? That's a topic of discussion that has a lot of room for words, right? Like, why did you move from Texas? How long were you there? Are you here on school? You didn't like Texas? Like, you now have something that you can draw from to ease the organic flow of the conversation. But my friend wasn't listening to her. He had a mechanical, predetermined answer. Oh, you're gonna like this bar, right? He wasn't listening to her. This is what I mean. Like, you cannot be absent minded, right? You getting tongue tied is symptomatic of you not listening to the person. Had he been listening, he could have sparked up a conversation that would have, you know, made everything a lot easier, right? Your body is a library. Your body remembers. So when you've messed up a conversation with somebody, your body remembers. And the next time you're having a conversation, you get anxiety like, what if I say the wrong thing, right? There's a mental disconnect that people have when they have trouble having a conversation. Their body's physically there, but mentally they're checked out. They're not really there mentally, right? So you have to listen to the coordinates. You have to listen to the words. An exchange of words is an exchange of coordinates. Coordinates take you places, just like a GPS. You're exchanging a place or an emotion. You're taking people on a ride. Okay, that's what words really are. It's like tennis, back and forth, right? You're anticipating the next move, but you're not executing the move till the ball comes on your end, right? You're not gonna say, "Oh, I'm gonna hit the ball this way" or blah blah blah. You have to wait for them to throw the ball on your end. It's you're slapping a layer on top of one over the other, right? It's a dance, right? So these words are just signposts, right? Don't get tied to the words, right? It's based on a feeling, right? You're not giving the situation or the conversation oxygen for it to organically flow, right? You're suffocating the conversation when you're worried or preoccupied about what to say or what words not to say, right? When you should be listening instead. You should be listening, right? You have to give yourself a vote of confidence that when it's your turn to speak, you're going to know what to say because you've been paying attention. There will be a connection that you have an affinity with, like, oh, I've done that too, or I didn't know that. Or you can ask a question, but you have to trust when the time comes, I'm going to know what to say, right? You already have all the raw materials to contribute and carry a conversation, but that only works when you're present, right? There's value in being present and listening to the person. That's your ammo. That's what you're going to use to contribute and say whatever you need to say after. That way you don't get anxiety, you don't get tongue tied, right? Every time you're not present, your subconscious takes over and it cultivates patterns that they're not going to be resourceful. You're not going to know what to do, right? So it's an exchange of emotion. People remember emotion. If you try to remember everything that I've said in this video so far, verbatim, like repeat to me in a script everything that I've said so far with my words, you won't be able to do it because the mind doesn't work that way. You remember the mood or the tone of the video, but you're not going to remember the exact same words, right? Don't get attached to the words, right? Words are simply coordinates, right? Words are important. This is why when they wrote the Constitution, they understood the first thing we're going to do, the First Amendment, is freedom of speech. The founding fathers understood how important words are and were and still are, right? Words are important. Like I said, words are coordinates, right? It's like a GPS. They're meant to take you on a ride. Words are there for an exchange of information. Don't get attached to them. It's just a signpost, right?